Welcome to The Swing of Things with Amanda Kraus. Our podcast covers all things rowing within the United States and is produced by Row 360. I'm your host, Amanda Kraus. In this episode, we are once again speaking to a couple of our favorite national team rowers, Molly Reckford and Michelle Sechser, the lightweight double that brought home a silver medal from the World Championships last month. A special thanks to our sponsor, Broadbridge Financial Solutions, who provide internships for our national team athletes. We're incredibly grateful to them for their support. Hi, Molly. Hi, Michelle. It's so good to see you both again.
Hey, Amanda. It's so great to see you. First time since Racice.
I know. I'm glad you had your hello in sync, just like in the boat, you two. Very nice. Very nice. Well, thanks for taking some time with us tonight. I know a lot of people are excited to hear from you both. Coming back from a silver medal, winning a silver medal at World Championships, super exciting. We're all so proud of you and really looking forward to this conversation. So I'm just going to jump right in and ask you a couple of questions. And my first one is, Michelle, we were talking about this right before we started. Can you just clear up how we say your last name?
Yes, it is actually pronounced Sechser. It's German origins. A lot of people do say Sechser, and so it is pronounced Michelle. It is pronounced Michelle Sechser.
So we just say Michelle. Okay, we'll just go with that. That sounds good. And what have you both been up to? And maybe we'll put Molly on the spot first since coming home.
Ooh, well, it has been pretty busy for me since coming home, but it actually took me a while to get home. So I was very lucky, and I took 2 weeks to travel after Worlds. And so I was in Budapest and Malta and then Sicily. And that was super amazing. I got to spend some really nice time with my family, who, I don't always get to see when I'm out training around the world. And so that was very special that they could come out to the World Championships and then we could sort of go be a family. And then I went home and I packed up all my stuff and I headed back to Boston. So Boston is one of my absolute favorite places, especially in the fall. I love the Charles. I love all the coaches and the rowing community here. And so it's been pretty busy for me since the end of the World Championships in September.
Wonderful. I'm glad you got that time in with family too. And Michelle, what have you been up to?
Yeah, I got to go home to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is just about just shy of an hour north of Boston, and spend a couple weeks with my family as well. They're based out in Folsom, California, right on Lake Natoma. So I don't get to see them much as most of our training and racing has us on the East Coast. So it was really nice to get to spend 2 weeks with them. Just, like Molly said, just finally getting to be with my family, just to be a daughter and kind of take in everything that Molly and I accomplished this summer. It was a good, deep sigh to finally come home and sit down and think about it all. And since then, also coming down to Boston and just enjoying fall season, trying to get back in shape.
Great. Yeah, I'm sure you really fell out of shape there. I'm kidding. Like 3 weeks ago.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Amanda.
Really? Wow. Okay. Good to know. Well, speaking of family, Molly, one of my favorite moments of being at World Championships was when you two were receiving your silver medals and you were standing there on the podium. And I noticed who I was pretty sure was your dad, Molly, in the audience, and watching him watch you. And then he started to tear up and I started to tear up just watching him watch you. And then I saw you see him and he saw you seeing him. And oh my goodness, it was just, it was so moving. So that was a really special moment. And I'm glad you got some time with your families. Michelle, going back to you for a moment, how does it feel to be named Female Athlete of the Year by your fellow national team members? Yeah,
it feels really special. It was pretty unexpected, and it means a lot to have one that comes from the team. Molly and I really value making sure that we're being good teammates to each other, that we're being good teammates to everyone we were training with this summer and fall in Princeton. And it really means a lot. I think I've always said I love the team boats. I love the camaraderie. I love kind of the synergy and also the hardships. And so this one feels really special that it kind of stems from, the team itself. So it feels, it's really such an honor. And I can't wait to come to Golden Oars and see all the team again and see you guys and have everyone there in New York City dressed up and celebrating the whole event and everyone's accomplishments from the summer.
You touched on this a little bit, the team atmosphere, and you talked about this in something I was reading recently. When you're talking about the team experience, and you two are clearly, the consummate team in this double. But you talked a lot about the team more broadly. So whether it was the men or the women, sweep, sculling, training together at Princeton with Yosi. Can you talk a little bit about that experience, what that's been like for you? And Molly, feel free to jump in too.
Yeah, this for me was probably the first or maybe the second time that I've been on a national team where the coach or, the leadership really decided to bring everyone together leading into the World Championships, and even to have that full team camp over in Europe together in the middle of June. It honestly made this one of my favorite seasons I've ever experienced. Just it feels so wonderful to be in that pack of all the boat classes and feel not just that you are a boat training towards your individual goals and your watts and your splits and your weight maintenance, but to really realize that you are a part of such a bigger system. And there's so many people out here working just as hard towards their goals with the same, if not more challenges. And to realize that we're not going this alone, the struggles Molly and I face, we're not in this alone. Everyone's struggling with the same stuff. It's pretty cyclical. Everyone gets, the fatigue kind of sets in before the taper comes all around the same time. And it adds such a deeper dynamic to everything to get to experience the preparation for World Cup and the lead up for World Championships with all of the boat classes. And just little moments, we docked in at World Cup. Molly and I had won our light men's double, did fantastically. And they docked in right as we docked in. And small things like getting to congratulate them on the dock.
Yeah.
They were just put on DAS for the first time. It's really special to share that, to be out at Mercer. We're all racing for top percentages, and the men's eight, the women's eight, everyone's cheering for each other. It feels so cool. And I'm really glad that Molly and I got to, kind of enjoy that experience a little this summer.
Molly, did you feel the same way? How was the experience for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say that this has been one of my favorite seasons. This is only my third team. And in 2019 in the lightweight quad, we were completely isolated from the rest of the team. We were training in New Milford, and then we were training in Chula Vista. And so it was just us. And then very similarly, we made the decision to row in Sarasota in the lead up to Tokyo, and then we went with Casey to Chula Vista. And so we were always separated in my experience. I had never had a full national team experience in the same way that we did this year. And so that was absolutely spectacular, getting to know the other female athletes, getting to know the men's team. These are my teammates. These are people who love the same thing I do. And so many of them I hadn't even had the chance to meet before. And we were, even in Hawaii and in Tokyo, we were trying so desperately to, stay safe and not mix germs. And in 2019, I don't know if you know this, but the teams were actually in 2 separate hotels. We were split in half. And so in 2019 in Linz, there wasn't a hotel big enough for all of us. And so there were so many of my teammates in 2019 that I never met. And so this was a really, really meaningful and special experience for me to know the name of everyone on my team and, have had a meal or shared a moment in the elevator with every single person on my team. That was very special. And I hope that continues.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. And you both mentioned Casey a little bit. Let's talk about Casey for a minute. So Casey Galvanick, your coach. Molly, let's start with you again. What or stick with you. What is Casey like as a coach? He's sort of, I know he's a little bit quiet. Michelle's laughing. He's a little bit quiet. From a lot of people who meet him would describe him as a little bit quiet, and extremely talented. You've spent a lot of time with him. How is he as a coach? What is he like?
Oh, I think he's a really great coach. I mean, so he is very much, there's not a lot of nonsense. Things tend to be very simple with him. So he'll say, we need to work on this. We will do this drill. And you will do that drill for the next 2 weeks if you need to keep doing that drill for 2 weeks. He sort of describes himself as a pothole filler. And so one of the things that he and I very much agree upon is that, you find the biggest detriment to speed and you iron it out. And then you find the next biggest detriment to speed and you iron it out. And it's very, very methodical. And so, he's not one of the coaches who's going to show up and be like, good morning, champion. Let's train for gold today. That's just not his style. But it's very much like, we're going to keep working on what we've been working on. Do you have any questions? Is everything clear? Okay, let's go out and row our boats. And I would say that he makes what can often be coaching rowing can often turn very complicated. And he does not go down that path. He keeps things simple. He says things in a way I can understand. And he as a coach, you can see how much he cares about his athletes. And I think that was really like the one thing that keeps me coming back to wanting to be his athlete is he cares about my success, not because it makes him look good, but because he knows that I want it. And he sees that I work hard. And so he wants to see me succeed. And I think that's like very, very special that he wants it for his athletes, not for himself.
Michelle, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think, Molly hit the nail right on the head, just describing Casey. It is funny. And even my first impression of him in February 2019 is so different than the coach I know now. But he, to me, is the most like emotionally intelligent coach I've ever worked with. And that's not easy to do with lightweight women. But it does seem sometimes, especially when we've gone overseas with him this year in Worlds, like he is so on top of the game of knowing what Molly and I need to succeed in terms of keeping, like she said, keeping the drills simple, keeping the training at a level that we feel, good and confident that our bodies are really pushing through, and just everything down to the T, thinking about what we might need to have, successful weigh-ins and good stretching, keeping in touch with weights, whatever it is. He's 100% there to like help us get that resource and make sure we're on top of it. It feels so good, like Molly said, to be supported as an athlete and as a boat, and not because, we're students who are at his university or we're some sort of cog in his system. That if anything, it's the opposite, that we are kind of privateers, and he has put so much into helping us and helping our boat get faster and helping us, stay level headed through it all, that for no reason. I mean, not for no reason, but there's no, he doesn't get some massive performance bonus out of it. It's not because, we're his recruits or something. He just honestly does it. He's such a good coach. Like Molly said, he keeps the education of it so simple. And I think that's really rare to find in a coach. And, they say you're not really an expert in something unless you can explain it to a 5-year-old. And I feel like that's Casey, that, he can boil, these massive, complex, physics and analogies or metaphors or all these words that other coaches might use. And he can really boil it down to a really short, brief sentence. Molly can take that and boil it down to one word. So when we're racing, then she can say this like monosyllabic word, and we both know exactly what the thing is that like coach was teaching us and the motion we're going to change. And, I think it's really profound, especially that Casey, he spent so much time in the system navigating, juniors and U23s and the women's quad camp for a bit, that he really understands athletes, from multiple levels and multiple walks of life. So it's just so awesome rowing for him. And I can look back on times that I wanted to, and like, would share this with Molly. She felt the same. Like, I want this for myself so badly, and I also want this for Casey. And it feels pretty special to feel that way about a coach,
Yeah.
That's just really in the trenches with us, not dictating things to us, but really just like putting the hard work in just as we are. So
yeah, he obviously has such deep love and respect for the sport, and obviously so much respect for both of you. And I know he's so proud of you. So it's fun to talk about sort of the getting there. And going back to what you were saying, I remember Molly is the one who yells the one word at a time, right? Because that's all I can get out, right? In the middle of a race. Can you what are some of the words, Molly?
Oh gosh, you want our secret sauce?
Isn't there? Well, not if they're secret. Don't give away any secrets, because there could be international listeners. But I feel like there was one word that's funny. Am I making that up? I feel like you told me one that was funny.
There might be one that's
Oh wait,
funny.
Can you not say it? Okay, we can skip that.
No. I'm just trying to think of what. I mean, a lot of it's funny when I say it during a race because it's like mostly a grunt, and then there's like sometimes a little bit of enunciation that comes out. But often it's not like I don't have a set monologue or anything, so it's not like every 250 I have a word that I will say. It's very much like, I'll be feeling I'm feeling the boat and I'm feeling how we're moving, and I'm looking out of the boat and looking at the boats around us, and decks is probably one that gets misheard every now and then. And that's to think about the way the decks move under you and the way you move the deck through the water, and almost to lift the deck out of the waves so that you can almost surf around the waves. And so if I say that, like, Michelle knows what I'm going to start changing with my hands, how I'm going to change my body weight, and so it's very much like we both know this feeling. And this feeling has a way the bow decks look. It has the way your hands feel at the catch. It has the way you suspend your weight into the finish. But it's all summed in the word decks. Or like sometimes I'll say hips, and that's like, oh my God, you use your hips at every part of the stroke. What could that mean?
Right.
But for us, we both know that means move the oar handles with your hips, not with your shoulders, not with your back, not with your neck. Right. And so it's one of these things that we do develop over time. And every now and then I've said something in pieces and we'll stop and be like, all right, hang on. During this rest, you said this, I thought this. Is that what you intended? And those are the really important collaborative conversations where I'm like, I said knees and I meant knees down, and you thought I meant hold knees for a second more before you recover. And so like being able to talk about that and have that communication and be able to be like, be able to work on it and build that language.
Is there a word that means go?
Go.
Is it go? Is it go? Is that what it is?
Sometimes it's go, sometimes it's now.
Now. I like that. That's a good one. Because I think we know what that means. Oh, charge. Oh, I like that too.
Charge for the line. So we've got a couple. Sometimes, you have to just see what spirit strikes you.
Yeah. Oh, I have goosebumps. Okay, go, now, charge. All right. So going back to, like, let's talk about racing a little bit more. You got a chance at Worlds last month to see some of the same boats you had seen in Tokyo. Yes. And how did that? So what were you?
Sweet revenge.
Yeah. So let's talk about revenge. So who was that, and what did it look like, and what were you thinking going in? Michelle, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, it was a lot of crews, which was awesome to see so many countries keep their lineups intact. Canada, Ireland, Swiss, France, GB, Italy, they all had their same Olympic crews. And so it felt like, this almost second chance to get to go up against those people again. And, Molly and I put a ton of work in since Tokyo. There's that certain kind of marginal gains as you really approach the top speed, that tons and tons of work goes into just getting maybe 1 second faster, or one bow deck faster or something, or one rate higher. And so it was really fun to kind of have these new tools. We'd had some really good rows this summer, some more experience together through World Cup, and then to get to line up against them again. And it was awesome to get to see, Italy, France, two crews that were on the podium in Tokyo. It felt awesome. We don't really get second chances in this sport, and it somehow felt like we got to have a second chance and be better versions of ourselves going into it. So I'm so proud of, what Molly and I did at Worlds and being able to best. Yeah, France and Italy, two medalists from Tokyo, felt pretty good. And, every year is different, and it's not the Olympic year, but it still was really awesome just to kind of have that yardstick of how we are moving relative to the crew we were in Tokyo.
And what were you thinking during those the last 500 meters, I was literally wondering what was going through your heads, or is anything going through your heads at that last, Molly? Can you answer that? Like, what are you thinking at that point? You're in second place. You're looking strong. What's going through your head?
At that point, I would say the last 500 meters of the race, I had my eye on Ireland, and I was like, defend your standing. But I was also sort of peeking out of the boat and being like, go harder, get the gold, go harder, get the gold, and just trying to like find a level that I've never found before. And I unfortunately was not able to pull it off this time. But it was really, we know that Ireland has a very fast sprint. We've seen it before, and especially in lightweight events, a lot of the time boats can converge in the last 500 meters. And so I did not, one thing that Casey told us that I think was very, very wise was do not give up a spot on the podium trying to win. And this idea of like, if you go out super hard and, try to win by open water, you're going to blow up and you're going to get fourth. And so sort of trying to not, you want it so badly, but if you're so busy looking to your port and you're not watching your starboard side, someone could sneak up. And so I think that definitely trying to maintain the balance of like what I want versus what I need to do to maintain where we are.
Michelle, what were you thinking in the last 500 meters?
Yeah, I was thinking, as we kind of, Molly called for winding up our sprint there, and I knew I could see GB's puddles and I couldn't see their stern tip, so it was going to be a bit of a gap to close. And they, it's a fantastic crew. Imogen set that world record in the single at World Cup. Just incredible crew. They've had a lot of great races together, and not knowing quite how far out they were. And it was something we kind of talked about, that just as much power and force as you can just press and summon to put onto that foot plate to see if we could reel them in, and just to try and keep giving her more and see if I could just get that stern tip in the corner of my eye. There's not much more that goes on up there besides that. So, I think we fought hard to close that gap in the last 500. Molly and I've had some pretty fantastic sprints together as a crew, both in Tokyo and at the women's heavy double trials in 2020, that I thought maybe if we really wound it up for the sprint, we could reel them in. But, we always learn. And I think the lesson there is a little bit is, if you give someone the luxury of kind of having, if they can have you in their sight, that's a really hard margin to close. So I'm really proud, we fought that to the last stroke of the race to keep trying to close them in. Like Molly said, while holding position as the field kind of collapsed back in on us. So, just emptying at every stroke and making sure it's a race we were proud of.
And seeing you afterwards, such big smiles, some tears, a lot of joy, a lot of well-deserved joy. Is there unfinished business here for you two?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm so proud of that race. It was obviously, the highest I've ever placed, doing that with Molly, Molly getting silver. It all felt awesome. I thought it's so cool to have her family there. They love her so much. There's such a good cheering section for us. We were warming up for that race and I could hear like Molly's family yelling from across the race course. So just, again, we're out there, we're racing, it's animalistic. You come back to the podium to land and suddenly you're sort of transformed back into this very human role. And I think seeing Molly experience that moment with her family and getting to see Amanda Yu and Liz Fusco, the dietitian, and Pete Wanger, our sports doc, Eric Dresser, who's been photographing me since 2012 or something, like coming back and getting to see the whole crew there, just, and how proud they are, it really just makes it a really special moment. But, and I'd be lying if I said that, I'm not hungry for more. So.
And Molly?
Oh yeah, there's more to be done.
So what now? So you're back. You've spent time with your families. You're both in Boston. Are you back training full time? Are you with Casey?
Yeah, we're easing back into getting back into training. And one exciting thing that we had start up this week is that Molly and I both started new positions with Broadbridge through their elite athlete employee program. So we're
great.
pretty excited to also be opening that new chapter.
Yeah. I'm excited you shifted us over there because we definitely want to talk about that. You're now balancing being elite athletes, looking towards Paris 24, with being part of the inaugural group of Broadbridge athletes. So, and I know that started very recently. I know it was a competitive process to be chosen. What does that look like? So what do your days look like, and what are you doing actually in these roles?
So it was a super competitive process. And I think that speaks very highly to the caliber of the athletes and the people that are on this team. Everybody is smart, everybody is driven. And it was quite an interview process. But yeah, so right now my days, I'm training for Head of the Charles. And so, it's very much, it's a pretty nice lifestyle. It's the lifestyle I choose. So we're on the water by 7 a.m. doing our morning session. There's a couple different groups that, launch out of the different boathouses. And then, we're still in training right now. So we're sort of going through and learning about all of the different departments at Broadbridge and what all these different roles can look like and all the different products that they offer, which is actually very helpful. They've sort of teamed us up side by side with one of their internal training programs. And so it's been really great, so we can learn alongside them. And it's not just like, all right, rowers, here's your little training bin, go sit in the corner and learn. But three of us are with the consulting group, and then one of us is with marketing. And so we're going to be all doing slightly different things, I believe, mostly project-based. But right now it's, everybody says it's like drinking out of a fire hose. We're in all these different webinars and lessons and, trying to meet everybody, trying to get a sense of, at a company with so many opportunities, how do you pick the first thread to pull on? And so that's really sort of our focus last week, this week, and then next week we will start sort of diving deeper and begin shadowing projects.
And Michelle, you're doing the same thing?
Yeah, a business analyst on the consulting arm as well to begin with. So yeah, it's great. I mean, like Molly said, it's a schedule. You wake up and you row and you row and you row, and then you come in and you change hats and you log on, and suddenly we're learning about all kinds of new things. And then we go back out and do it again. And I think it's really fun. I've held a career for the past 4 years. Molly worked also in a big career, and that really helped transform my rowing. And I really appreciated getting to row with Molly as she understands, the work-life balance as well. So it's fun to both Molly and I and the other two athletes who were selected to see kind of different sides of them, and that for once, it's not me talking to Molly about like training minutes or boat feel. It's, Molly teaching me today about capital markets. And so it's fun to really embrace that work-life balance and get to see like a different side of my teammates and this, this brilliant, intelligent side that it kind of brings out. So it's a fun new chapter for sure.
That's incredible. Excited to watch the progress there and, the journey through this internship. So I want to shift us over to one last area before we sign off. I've already spoken with you both quite a while ago now, but I don't want to ask you the same closing question because I already know how much Molly eats. Instead, I thought it would be fun to ask you both. So after a long practice and you're getting off the water, what does Casey eat? They both, just for the listeners, Michelle is obviously laughing. Molly has just a wide-eyed look. You guys,
it's so funny.
Does Casey eat? I've never seen him eat.
That's the thing. He's like not a human. I mean, we eat with him in the dining halls when we're at World Championships, but other than that, he not like Molly and I are always talking Molly's always talking about food. Someone's always talking about food.
Yeah, last time we had a discussion, Molly ate throughout the entire podcast. which of course I was so impressed with.
Yeah. This time I thought ahead and I ate before the podcast.
No judgment from me, Molly. Okay, so wait, have you guys seen him eat?
Yeah. Yes, we've had meals with him. A funny moment last summer, Molly and I were making sure we were on top of our weight maintenance practices for qualification before Lucerne, and we were coming up to Princeton, and I just remember Casey blurting out, "Oh, you guys got to go check out the bagel barn." It was just like, at the moment, so out of touch.
Because you guys were actually not.
We were probably not attending the bagel barn.
Bagels in your face, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, Molly. What would you say? He's got a very refined taste, both in wine and food.
Yeah. He normally doesn't eat that I can see after practice. But before practice, especially at Worlds, he really liked the bread in the dining hall, and it was actually pretty great. You know, we would have, Michelle and I always travel with little bento lunch boxes, and so we would be, getting our hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah, I saw your eggs.
Our pieces of bread, and I can't travel without my eggs.
Yeah, there's a lot of eggs, Molly. It wasn't just like a couple eggs. Yeah, it's like chicken coops full of eggs. Yeah.
And Casey would come and sit down, and he would have like half a loaf of bread and a giant hunk of cheese, and he would rip the crust off the bread and not eat the crust, and eat the soft part of the bread with the cheese. And so that was Coach's pre-launch breakfast.
Pre-launch.
But no, he actually, Casey does have really great taste in wine, and he does appreciate fine food. I just think that, when you're in a hotel with 2 starving lightweights, you probably don't want to be partaking too much in front of them just for the sanity of the whole group.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough.
I do feel like he went on a sympathy diet with us, probably to make us feel good, that while we were both, making sure we were lean and ready for a really good weigh-in, he was also out getting extra workouts and bike rides in. So I think he's just, being extra supportive.
True team member there. This is good. I like this. All right. Well, I know I'm not alone in really having so much fun watching you two race and train and be a double together and be a part of this team and the larger team and this team of this double. And, I'm so excited for all the young rowers, especially at Head of the Charles, who are going to be meeting you and Golden Oars. And you really give them really true, strong, talented, smart women to look up to. And I think it's pretty amazing. So thank you for joining us, for this conversation, and thank you for representing our country so well, frankly.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, we're really excited to see you guys at Golden Oars, and we'll hope to see you all this weekend.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to, talk about things we love, like Casey and rowing boats and
and food,
and bread and egg and hard-boiled eggs. Yes,
cheese.
All right, thank you both. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, Amanda. Enjoy hamburger night.
Thank you. We will. And that's it for today's episode of The Swing of Things. I hope you enjoyed listening to Molly and Michelle, and we will continue to follow their progress as we move closer to Paris 2024. A special thanks to our sponsor, Broadbridge Financial Solutions, who provide internships for our national team athletes. Remember to like, share, and follow from wherever you get your podcasts. It helps others to find us. And please subscribe to make sure you don't miss future episodes. Thanks for listening.